one makes sense? The Noah story or the Younger Dryas flood and a previous civilization restarting human civilization around the world? That's the question for today. That's the question for this video, I should say. So let's examine and think about this just logically for a second. And this picture is very important. You see, according to the Noah story, the Noah's flood story, the entire world was flooded and everybody on the planet died. And then Noah and his 3 sons and their wives all survived. Now, from those 3 sons, the world was repopulated once again. The problem is that when you look at where civilizations have survived and thrived before, during, and after this flood, it doesn't allow for Noah's 3 sons to repopulate the planet. On the other side of that story is the Younger Dryas, that you had a ice age that was occurring for about 25,000 years ago. Now, about 12,000 years ago, during this ice age, you had a severe spike where people who had become accustomed to the ice age, but a severe spike happens and the ice age becomes even colder and spreads further around the planet, especially mainly in the northern hemisphere. But then around 9,000 years ago, most likely through a solar phenomenon, all the ice caps melt. All of the ice melts in a matter of days. And the seafloor rises, well, not the seafloor, the sea levels rise about 400 feet and flood every civilization for hundreds of miles inland, flooding some areas completely, destroying civilizations in a tsunamis and flash flooding and all these sorts of things. The majority of the world's population would die. For those that survived, who were of a higher technological base, and there were those who survived who were not of higher technology. Now, each one of these cultures above has a story of a higher technologically group coming in some type of vehicle to help them restart their civilization after a massive cataclysmic flood that they believe even flooded the entire world and everybody died except for them. But each one tells of this story. And then some of those more advanced civilizations tell a story of how their king or their deity king left them to go and help restart other civilizations. For instance, in the Kemetic story, Asar is said to have left Aset to sail away on a ship and help to restart civilizations around the world that had been destroyed after a cataclysmic flood. In the Atlantean story, it is Thoth who flew over to the land of Kim after a cataclysmic worldwide flood to help restart the land of Kim. And then after restarting the land of Kim, he went over to the Americas, created cultures in the Americas later on. So I asked you, there are 0 archaeological evidence of Noah's kids going around and restarting popular civilization. As a matter of fact, according to the Bible, they didn't leave the Mediterranean. There's 0 evidence of them being the only people on the planet at that time. As a matter of fact, the evidence demonstrates that the Minoans, that the what we call the Chinese, that the South Pacifics, that in the Americas, that in all these other places, civilization was there before, during, and after this flood. So the archaeology actually goes against it. So which one do you think is more plausible? Which one do you think is more closer to the truth? that an advanced civilization of earthlings who survived the Younger Dryas flood, as well as those who were less advanced who survived the flood, that the more advanced ones came and restarted those civilizations and then passed themselves off as gods to those more primitive civilizations. And then we have all of our godlike stories of today that have been copied and translated and redone. But at least they put theirs in stone, and the similarities are too uncanny for it to be a one off. What do you guys think? Always remember you got to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non negotiable. Good journey, good vibration.